like to do the land speed record and take some of the injured guys. But we thought that's a once-a-year thing, only happens once. We've got the car there, etc. But we wanted something that would be more permanent, go on further, etc. So Jim, myself and Colin Smith, who's the CEO of the charity, I suggested we look at BTCC. We approached Alan Gow, who was very helpful, and we put together a package. I went to Infiniti with it. They embraced it with open arms. You know, the fact that Infiniti within a year will be one of the biggest car manufacturers in the UK means they want to embrace the Britishness of the full thing. They were really blown away by the idea of using injured guys to run a proper team, not with any concessions, no holds barred, just to go and do the job. And they were very, very helpful, right to square one. It wasn't a hard sell by any manner of means.
What's their involvement level going to be throughout the season? Is it purely financial, or is it...
The financial and technical. They've been very good with design and the technology side of things, etc. Infiniti themselves are they're not as a company aware of the pros and cons within motor racing. But when you ask them for something, they find a way of doing it, and they're very helpful. You know, their design department has been very good, you know, and all the rest of it. So it's good, you know.
Talking to a couple of the guys out there, they were saying about in a few years that the idea is to have either one or maybe both cars driven by ex-injured servicemen. Yeah. That will obviously present some more difficulties. How do you think they're going to cope with the challenges that are thrown at them this season and
these
in
guys?
the future?
These guys will cope. You have no idea how simple it is for these guys to work as a team. They don't regard themselves as disabled in any way. They're injured, they only have an issue, and by working in a team they simply overcome one another's issues. It's not, they'll cope 100%. Strategies will change slightly, probably, as we evolve. It's bound to happen, but they'll cope with it, absolutely no bother. They don't have the divide and conquer thing. They simply work together as a team to do a job. It's a literal, all for one and one for all. When you see them working, it just actually, this is going motor racing and feeling good about it. And it really is.
Well, I've seen the way they bond and they've been working on the teams. I was saying to Jim earlier, so you've got the reaction wall and you've got the simulators that they've all been really competitive on.
Yeah.
I've said about the challenges that they'll face, but they've also got the major advantage of having the military background and
20 years of training and discipline behind them. You don't have lazy people there. They don't faff about. You don't have somebody that's not pulling their weight, or the rest of them tell them. I don't have any kind of discipline thing or any kind of thing about someone not doing their job. The rest of the guys, they do it. There's just not an issue. Nobody has been at a stage where they've not been doing their job or not pulling their weight, because the rest would just tell them. It's not anywhere near as difficult as I would have perceived it to be when we started off. I mean, it's a good thing to do, and as I say, the big thing about this is the British public will engage with it big time when they see what these guys are doing, despite their injuries. To hear them, they would actually think that the injury was an advantage. Daz turned round, somebody asked him at the Auto Sports Show, how do you get into the team? He said, well, I had to chew my arm off to get in,
I had said to him he should be good at wheel changes, and I've heard from various people he wants to have
he wants to have a gun modified to fit, and all the rest of it. The thing is, they don't have, the big thing about it is they're very open about their issues, so therefore we can overcome the issues because you have full knowledge of it, and they will actually work with you without embarrassment to try and sort them. The limits are in your head, not in what you physically feel you can or cannot do. You can actually do anything if you so happen to put your head to it.
Your driver lineup, you've got obviously Derek Jr. And you've got Rich Hawkin.
Yeah.
How do you decide on driver lineup when you've got drivers currently, sort of like Colin Turkington and Jason Plato, without a drive?
Yeah, but the thing is, this is about the team. This is not about a driver. The team will grow. Derek's has a lot of experience doing Dutch supercars, FIA GT, all the rest of it. He helped design the car. He has a full understanding of the car. I mean, Derek, although he works in Switzerland, he's got a degree in aerodynamics and mechanical engineering. I mean, so he's been very involved in the design of the car. I mean, at the end of the day, these young men will go out there and they'll do a good job. I don't want this to break down where it's a driver. There's plenty of drivers have offered, and way beyond BTCC, drivers have offered to be involved. But it's not the way I feel we should be going at this minute in time. The way we go just now is this about the team. As the team progresses, it's a story we don't want, it'll evolve. And the full thing will evolve. And they'll win races. And they'll win races because they're a team. They're not all about one driver doing his thing. They'll evolve because they'll learn to do it, they'll learn to do it well, and they'll do it as a team. Every single one of them.
First thing that crossed my mind when I saw about the charity work with the team was the interesting idea of running a touring car team at a profit, because obviously there's a lot of touring cars famed for crashes and huge expense from that. I mean, Rob Austin and Sam Belcher in recent memory have had huge accidents. Realistically, without putting a figure on it, do you expect to be able to donate much money to charity? Or?
The thing is, as we grow, that will become greater. I mean, an initial year is obviously a lot of expense. People have been very good with us, don't get me wrong, from transporters to hospitality units and all the rest of it, to suppliers have all been great with us. And the first year will obviously, but eventually, with the help of the sponsors and Infiniti, etc., this will, because we'll hit well above our weight as far as the amount of publicity you get per buck, this will make good money for the charity. Besides that, what you've got to remember is we have 8 full-time guys working for us, all injured guys. We are going in the process of things. One of the things that will slow things up slightly as far as the charity money is concerned is the fact we're going to run a school, an academy, if you will, to find one of the guys who can actually do this thing with the touring car in 3 years' time. But this will become much, much bigger. It's a baby just now.
That academy is that's something that, speaking to them out there, some of the guys are quite excited about, having the chance to get behind the wheel.
They're all excited. Besides that, it gives them another facet. It's another thing they can see how it works. And that's all you really have to explain to these guys. They're very intelligent guys. Explain to them how it works, why you're doing this, and then they engage in it and get it done.
The charity is going to be a continuing thing with it. It's not going to be something that is going to be dropped sort of 2 years down the line.
This is about the guys for the parachute regiment. That's all it's about. We're not here to make a profit. We're not here to do this, do that. What we're here for is to raise awareness of the charity, which nobody knows about, to allow the British public to engage in their charity, and to allow the British public to show that they're proud of their parachute regiment, which they are, but nobody ever gets the chance to show it. The trouble is our army does everything behind closed doors, and we don't have any, from the parachute regiment, we don't have any flag waving or anything else. They just go do it and go out. End of story. These young men are all injured in the process of their job. They just regard it as work, by the way. When they talk about going, they said, when I was at work, the same way you would talk about when you go and do your job. You can't believe that, It's not a mission, it's not when I was at work. There's a fellow in Kajaki just now, Daz there, he lost his hand at the Kajaki Dam. You ask him about it, he says, it was just a bang and that was it, and he says, I'm quite pleased I didn't look down the barrel of the damn thing when it went off. You know, it's relative. It could be something that we could maybe have an issue with employing you there. You know,
I was actually quite amazed at how open the guys are about their injuries.
Yeah.
Because I asked them earlier, the three that I talked to. I just said to them, if you're okay talking about it, so what was it that happened to each of you? So what's affected each of you? And they were really open, so no holes barred.
That's what makes it easy to deal with it, because you're not tripping round about political correctness by saying, well, you haven't got a leg, so you can't do that. You can't ride that bike.
You haven't got a leg, so you
haven't got a leg, so you can do that. Right? You can do that, and that. Now your strength's off your right side rather than your left side, so you'd be better doing that. How do you feel about that? Yeah. But can I try that? Yeah, give it a try. You're right enough, I can't do that. Right, I'll do that. It's open. There's none of this, they play to their strengths all the time. And it's easy because they're willing to talk about it. I don't know enough about it to criticise anyone else. But I do think that the openness makes it far easier to deal with issues. And the issues don't become issues after that. There's nobody embarrassed about the injuries out there. I mean, they've got injuries there. You look at it and you think, God, would have got up in the morning if I had that.
When the season gets going, is there the opportunity or the chance that a sponsor may come on board and...
Yeah, we certainly hope so, because the big thing about this is the fact that Infiniti have been very good about this. The idea is that the more sponsors we can engage, the more money it leaves off the end of the season budget, which could potentially go to the charity. So this is the full idea of raising the sponsorship. The more sponsor, and they will get far better value from us because of the amount of public interest that we will generate. Other people have to win races to get that one-off piece of publicity. We don't have to. Every single improvement we make is a win. As far as we're concerned, we're Infiniti supporter Paris. Now, at the end of the day, any sponsors that we engage will get the full help from us with everything that we can to help them publicity-wise as well. And as I say, we will hit well above our weight. If you go and sponsor some of the smaller teams in the BTCC, less experienced teams, the amount of publicity you'll get out is pretty marginal, Whereas, believe you me, we will get well above anything that anyone of similar experience will have. Winning teams, the teams that are winning the championship will be struggling to get more publicity than we get, because the full crowd will engage in the fact that it's their paras that are out there. Can you imagine the likes of at Silverstone, the Red Devils coming in with a team flag and all the rest of it, and running up the Union Jack and the team flag in front of the pits? At the end of the day, the full crowd will be behind it.
Is that something that's going to be going on sort of with the flag?
Yeah, we're going to do that sort of thing, because the difference is the military are helping us with this. They're right behind us. They're actually, in an official capacity, they're behind us, They're going to have recruitment there. They're going to have, we'll have weapon systems there and all the rest of it, so the guys can show what they used to do in their old job. Job, they call it, as I say.
Some people would say that it's a bit of a gimmick, having ex-servicemen and getting a charity on board they would say buy publicity, but what would you say to counter those opinions?
You don't have to ask me, go and ask the guys. This is their team. They know it's their team. They work for the team, they work for themselves, they're actually part and parcel of it. This has never been about anything else. It's about them. There's nothing else there. This full thing is built around that full stop. You always get people who, say this, that and the next thing. Fine. The proof of the pudding's in the eating. We've actually got guys working, got guys employed. You don't pull the wool over these guys' eyes. These are British paratroopers. They're as good as it comes. And they know exactly why it's there, exactly what it's for, and exactly why we're doing it. You watch the amount of good that comes out of this. It will way outweigh. This isn't a pretend thing. We'll do this and we'll raise money to to go motor racing on the back of these guys. Not interested in that. As I say, this is about the Parachute Regiment charity, nothing else. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of people with their ideas and what it's about and all this. Everybody will pull their weight. If the drivers don't come up to scratch, they know they've a certain standard to attain. If they don't, then there'll be someone else in. The big thing about this is the aim, the long-term aim of this is to injure guys in the seat as well. So there's an injured guy in a car prepared for injured guys out there doing the championship.
How much of, so you say about injured guys driving the cars in a few years, how much little would you have thought that would be possible before someone like Zanardi?
I was doing World Touring Cars at the time, and with Marcello Lotti, I was very much behind the idea of giving Alec a test. And when he did test the car, he still had it, and he was quick. So I mean, I've worked with, various people. I mean, people can achieve a lot. The human body and the human mind's a fantastic thing, and it's amazing what it can achieve. I mean, Alec is just an inspiration to everyone. I mean, after doing that, he won the Olympics, the Paralympics as Brands Hatch. I mean, and not in a car. And I mean, the guy is an absolute hero, and that's all about his attitude. It's about nothing else. I mean, these guys don't see any limits. They'd be quite miffed if they thought that there was something that they couldn't do as a team that another team could do. And believe you me, but it's about them. The whole thing's about them. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of people, and we've had plenty of people sort of jumping on the bandwagon for various reasons and all the rest of it, trying to get involved. I'm not interested in anyone else getting involved. It's about the charity. This is about the guys. They'll grow, they'll expand, they'll become better, they'll become the best. And they'll become the best because they're British. And that's simple.